Hello YouTube, it's Sean from the Pompey Games Room back with another video. So today, like I touched upon in one of my recent pickup videos, I showed you guys I got this given to me as a birthday present, my last birthday, which was this year, from one of my best mates Phil and his lovely wife Laura. They know that I'm into my retro gaming and things like this, so they decided to get me this for my birthday, and I've got to admit, it's a great little unit. And I said at the time when I covered it on my pickup video that I was going to sort of do an individual video on it to sort of show you guys just sort of what you get with it and what sort of how it stands up today with the other sort of handheld units that you can get, because there's so many of these units around, and it's sort of quite handy to look at a video and get an idea of what this can do and sort of what the others can do. Quite lucky I do have a Retro Gen, which is another unit very similar to this. I have a Nomad and also have an iPhone, so it's sort of I can play lots of Mega Drive classics on lots of different platforms. But today this is what we're going to go take a look at. I mean, you can pick these units up in sort of HMV, even supermarkets I think you can pick them up in. They range between sort of, I'd like to say this one here I've seen sell on sort of auction sites between sort of £15 to £20. I've seen it loose for about sort of 5 to 10, but it's a really handy little unit. So this one here, let's just touch on some of the items on the box here. So that's the unit. Obviously we'll take a closer look at that in a minute, and obviously the obligatory Mega Drive mascot in Sonic on the front, heavily featured. And it says here that there's 20 Sega Genesis titles that are built in, and they are just here. We'll touch upon those in a minute on the back when we get around there. But even the box art's pretty sort of nostalgic just looking at it, and it's a well built box, to be honest. It's pretty good. So it's got some of the specs on the side here. We'll touch more on those in a minute. And you've got the @Games logo, the guys who bought this to us. Some of the obligatory health warnings on the side, and then on the back, which is the front again, we've got larger pictures of the games that are featured. So the games that are actually on here, then let's just take a quick look. We've got Golden Axe, Columns, Streets of Rage, Fatal Labyrinth, Arrow Flash, we've got Sonic 1, Sonic 2, E-SWAT, Shinobi, Flicky, Sonic Spinball, Sonic and Knuckles, Streets of Rage 2, Crackdown, Echo the Dolphin, Shadow Dancer, Duel Master, Alien Storm, Altered Beast, and Alex Kidd. So yeah, pretty good little games that are already built into this unit from the outset. So I mean, even if you didn't have it's got an SD card function, which you might have just seen on the top here, but we'll touch on that in a minute. You had a pretty good sort of library that you could start off with before, you know, even sort of loading your own games on and stuff like that. So let's open up the unit and we'll just take a look. So it's held together with this little sort of Velcro tabs here. You've got two, and you open it up and you get a little Arcade Ultimate Portable logo and the Mega Drive thing there as well. And you take out the little covering strip there, and here's the unit in all its glory. So what it comes with is it comes with the power cable here, which is a standard sort of USB hookup to a PC really, and obviously the little jack at the bottom here which connects into the unit, which is along the bottom. It's a smaller jack. That will connect into this unit here and then connect up to your PC or iPhone socket and then charge your unit. When you first buy this unit, it takes about 11 hours to fully charge it, and it will give you 4 to 6 hours gameplay, which is pretty impressive really. Now this isn't actually on, that's a sticker that comes with these units, and that just peels off like so. So it's just a little film sticker, and we'll take the unit out. So it's pretty lightweight unit, but it feels well built, if that makes any sense at all. It feels pretty well built. It's a nice size as well when you're sort of playing this on the go, which I have done. It's pretty handy, sort of. It's nice and easy to hold, and you know, the buttons feel quite sort of you're quite connected with those buttons. They don't feel cheap at all. So yeah, basically the contents of the box, what you get is you get a little instruction manual in the bottom and a little tray that just pulls out with the cable. So the instruction manual is very simple actually. It literally just has a few bits and bobs on there. and then it goes into sort of instruction manuals about the games that are built into the system. So it gives you a little synopsis on them and things like that, and you know, so you can read up on the games very much in a similar way that you would have if you sort of bought the game cartridge and you had the box and things like that. So yeah, let's take a look at the actual unit then. So we'll touch on it, and then we'll go into some of the other units that I've got, and we'll sort of do pros and cons, and if I sort of think this is worth getting, basically. So let's start with the screen. The screen's obviously here, and it's much the same as you're going to get on any other sort of handheld unit. So like a retro gen unit console, they're quite popular. They tend to pop up on eBay quite a lot. And yeah, it's a 2.8 inch colour LCD screen. The battery life, like I've already touched upon, is charged via this little USB cable down here, which you can plug into an iPhone socket, or you can just plug into your PC and charge up. It takes 11 hours first off, 5 hours there on in, and it will give you approximately 4 to 6 hours of gameplay. So let's go around the console here. We've got a headphone jack on the bottom. We've got the on-off, which is pretty important, and it just slides. We've got a 6 sort of button configuration here. Funny thing is that when you actually get this console, this little handheld, there are no games on the unit that actually require 6 button controls, but that will become clear in a minute when I've done that. On the top here, we've got the volume control. So the sound on this unit is actually pretty good, I'm going to admit. It's not bad at all, and we'll get into that further in the video. And then next to that, we've got a mini SD card slot. So what they tried to do here was, with this card slot, was you could actually just download ROMs and put them on here. For technical details, I'm not the best, as you guys will probably know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run some information probably along here in the video, I'll say, and you guys can take a look at that. And that information is actually coming to you via Sega Retro.org. Great little website. If you guys haven't ever checked out their website, they've got lots of information on there about all the console specs and stuff like that. So take a look at this spec. I'll also put it down in the description, and take a look, and hopefully it'll become more clearer to you guys about that, how to sort of install your own games on here and stuff. Because like Sonic 3 isn't on here. There's every other Sonic game but Sonic 3, and Sonic 3 is probably one of the strongest Sonic games on the go. Basically, they got Sonic and Knuckles on here, and they didn't put Sonic 3 on here for some reason, but who knows. But anyway, so let's carry on. So there we've got the actual entrance for the charging, and we've also got an AV out port, which is just next to it there on the right, and the power button, which signifies if it's charging and also when it's on. You've also got another button down here which comes on when you've got a low battery. Now I have charged this, and it's actually the first time I've ever charged it, other than when I picked the unit up. So what we're going to do is just turn it on, and I'll show you sort of how it plays and things like that. So what we do is we've got these 2 little buttons, one here by my thumb and another one here. This one here is start and pause, and this here is menu. So menu will always bring you back to the screen where you can select the games. And one of the most important things here, as I switch it on, is that there's no save capacity in this little unit. It's when you turn it off or menu, you come out and you can't save it. So it's not like iPhones or Android phones where you can actually create save slots and things like that. And yeah, so it's worth bearing in mind. So what we'll do is we'll just put the volume up so you guys can hear. So there's nothing here, but so we'll go through. So we've got Alex Kidd, Alien Storm, Alter Beast, Arrow Flash, Columns, Crackdown, Echo, E-SWAT, Fatal Labyrinth, Flicky, Golden Axe, Duel Master, Shadow Dancer, Shinobi 3, Sonic and Knuckles, Sonic and Spinball, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Streets of Rage 2, and SD card. So obviously you go here, click on SD card, and it would read your SD card basically. So let's go down and give you an idea, just of the idea of the gameplay and also the sound capabilities. Let's play on Streets of Rage 2. So most important, you press start, and it will load up Streets of Rage 2. So we've pumped the volume up here, and you guys can sort of get an idea. And my battery is already starting to flash because I only actually charged it for about 5 minutes just for this video, just to be able to play it. So the sound's not amazing, but it's better than some of the other units I'll show you in a minute. So it's a little bit tinny, so let's go for Axel. So it's a pretty decent unit, as you can see my fingers here. It's quite comfortable to hold. It's not sort of cramping my my thumbs, which can happen with these consoles sometimes when you play them for long amounts of time. Which, if you're going to be travelling, this is quite a lightweight and quite a reasonably priced little handheld to have. Yeah, I mean, it's up there with some of the better handhelds on the market, and also it's widely available. You can still sort of pick this up on Amazon and eBay and stuff like that, and it's worth checking out, guys, definitely. So what I'll do is I'll just let you take in some of the gameplay, and I won't say anything. Oh, God, I hate those people with those knives. So that's a little look at the gameplay and the unit and how it all works and things like that. It's probably just about to run out of battery, so I'll just pause it. But so a little summary of this unit, really. It's a really, really good little unit. It's light enough, but it's not light enough that's going to worry you that it's going to fail and break. It feels quite well built. It's quite sort of robust. I mean, it doesn't sound cheap. Sort of, it's quite a nice weight, is what I'm trying to say. You've also got a little thing here, so you can look really cool by attaching it to a keyring. Something I've never tried, but you know, you're welcome to do it. So, yeah, overall, guys, really, really good little unit. You've got a little speaker which is just down here, which is the output for the console. Not a bad little speaker. It's better than the other unit I'll show you guys in a minute, the Retro Gen. And so what we'll do now is we'll just switch over to some of the other handheld units you can get for Mega Drive games, because Mega Drive is my main console that I love and what I collect for, and any more information I can sort of give you on the best things to pick up and value. Okay, and guys, so this is one of the other handheld units that you can get, called a Retro Gen. Very, very similar in regards to the one we've just looked at. So this one here is a unit that will set you back, usually unboxed £10 to £15, boxed £25 to £30 on any auction site. Although at the time of posting this video, just doing a bit of research for this video, I did see that one sold for £62 with fully boxed, such as this one here. And it sold for £62 with 2 bidders, which just shows you how funny eBay can be sometimes, because I know full well that they don't cost that much. Just I suppose what happens sometimes when you're either being bid up by a seller, or 2 people really want a unit. So this is the Retro Gen. So what I'll do is I'll just show you around it, basically. So it's on charge, because unfortunately mine doesn't work anymore without being plugged in. Canon fodder's in there for no apparent reason, so obviously we've got a cartridge slot, which is one of the major upgrades from the actual Mega Drive one we just shown. But so let's just turn it on, and it will boot straight up into Canon fodder. If I can just find the volume, a bit embarrassing. There we go. So some of the pros of this little unit, obviously one being that there's a cartridge slot on it. It's a great screen, not too bad at all, very, very clear. Let's try and get to the actual game. Let's turn it down a bit so I can keep talking. So yeah, we've got a great screen. It's comfortable to hold, and it can be used as a standalone console, this. Because you've actually got the ability to output the AV, so it's quite handy to sort of just hook up to TV. Although the picture isn't great when you use it. It's nice to be able to use it as a standalone console if you so wanted, which is quite handy. The only drawbacks I can see for this console, this little handheld, is that unfortunately the cartridge slot is a little bit glitchy, temperamental, shall I say. In that it crashes quite a lot if you shake it around, and sod's law, it's not going to do it now, but I've played actually Cannon Fodder quite a lot over one Christmas when the electricity went out, so I ended up playing this when the battery compartment worked quite well. And yeah, it's a great little unit, but it's a little bit temperamental and it can be a little bit frustrating. Games installed on this unit, I'll just show you on the box. Actually, no, I'll tell you what, I'll turn it off. So when you turn it off and turn it on without a game in, it comes up with a load of games. Now these games are not official Sega games. They are just games like emulated files, very similar sort of rip-offs of games that you might find on any other console. I mean, there's a lot of them on there, but you have to have the cartridge to actually play the proper Sega games. And that's, to me, sort of puts this in fourth place. I've got 4 things to show you out of the handhelds that you can get. This is definitely fourth place for that reason, because the beauty with the other unit we just looked at is that there was games, official Sega games, straight off the bat with that unit, and this one here, not so much. Although you've got the cartridge slot, you've then got to transport cartridges around with you and everything like that. So, and add to that, I don't know if you heard, but the sound on this thing is not great at all. Almost to the point that it's a very similar speaker setup, but the sound is just so different between the 2 units. The one we've just looked at in detail and this one here. So this is my 4th place suggestion. If you're interested in picking up a retro gen, they're quite common. You can find them on eBay pretty much all the time. But don't expect to sort of pay an absolute king's ransom to get one. It should cost you no more than £20. So this is my 3rd selection in the Mega Drive Arcade Ultimate Portable, the console, the handheld that we've just looked at. And to be honest, it's a brilliant little piece of kit for the job it does. The other 2 things that we're going to look at in my positions 1 and 2 in my sort of ratings, this does a brilliant job for just simply an emulator, a handheld console to play Mega Drive titles on. So the pros of this is its great screen and sound, which we've already looked at. The sound is a little bit tinny, but for the price you're paying for this unit, and it's a pretty clear little screen, it's good. For the money you're paying, you're getting a better sort of bundled screen and sound effect than you will get with the retro gen systems. It's comfortable to hold, like I've already touched upon. Can be used as a standalone console as well by connecting AV cables and outputs out to your TV via this little jack here. You will need an actual special little converter, but you can do it. I've seen it on YouTube videos, people have done it. The SD card function, very handy, because it enables you to expand your Mega Drive game library without the need for a cartridge slot, which then keeps the unit quite sort of slimline compared again to the retro gen. So that's another plus there. Also comes with 20 classic Mega Drive titles on the actual console from the get-go, which you can just see just below here, and we've already touched upon, and reasonable battery life of 2 to 4 hours, which is really good. The only real drawback that I could actually find on this console, which I couldn't find an awful lot, and that is the cartridge slot. But then again, that's why you've got the trade-off with the SD card slot. So an overall brilliant little gadget console handheld for the Mega Drive era. Don't expect to pay anything near the £62 that I said earlier for the retro gen. You can pick these up very commonly on eBay, especially for unboxed £5 to £10, but fully boxed in this condition here, you'll probably be looking at about sort of £15 to £20. So it's a definite pickup, and I would say it's definitely the one to own over the retro gen. Even though this has the cartridge slot, side by side they're pretty much similar specs, but this one here, in my opinion, is the winner over this, because this is just a little bit too temperamental for the job you buy it for, to play Mega Drive games. The SD card slot, modernising the games nowadays, means that you rule out the risk of them crashing halfway through with your console inserted in the back here. SD card means you get a good file, unless it's a corrupt file, but then there are thousands of files to choose from for these games. Just get a good file and you won't have any problem if you drop the unit or the cartridge becomes loose or anything. So definitely this is my selection number 3 in my little roundup of handheld things to look out for and purchase to play Mega Drive games on the go. My second selection is the very, very pricey but official Sega handheld, really, in the Sega Nomad. So this little console here was, I've actually got a standalone video, which is a very, very old video, and you know, the actual production quality on it's really bad. Not that I'm saying this one isn't, but it's very, very rough and ready. But if you want to find out more about the Nomad, I will link the video and you guys can go look at it. But this was Sega's attempt to get into the handheld Mega Drive market in the same way they had with the Game Gear. And yeah, brilliant little console. So pros of this is that there's a cartridge slot, obviously here, but it plays all NTSC cartridges because it is actually a Genesis sort of machine. It plays everything at NTSC, but it does also play a handheld full of PAL games. Great sound. It's basically like you're playing it through a TV. Good little speaker, and the screen, although mine's seen better days, the screen on these units are very, very good. When they first came out, they're very clear. Obviously, I need to replace mine. It's a very, very easy fix to install a new screen into these machines. But yeah, I mean, this is one to look out for if you're willing to pay between unboxed £100 to £150, boxed 200 to 250. They're great little units. The only problem is that the battery life on them sucks if you're going to use sort of the battery pack you can have installed on the back. Little battery pack that installs here, and you can install lots of AA batteries, I believe, or you can use a Mega Drive 2 power source, which obviously helps if you're in the house, but the whole idea of having this little unit is so you can just walk around and play it on the bus or something back in the 90s. Not that you'd probably do it nowadays, but yeah, so it can be an expensive, I'm going to keep saying that thing, if you want to buy a Mega Drive handheld. But you will be having authentic Sega sort of gear, but obviously with that comes age and obviously defects and the possibility of it breaking being very high, and thus wasting your money. But if you're a collector, it's a must-own bit of kit. The pros of this are obviously the cartridge slot, which we just touched upon. Great sound and great screen. It's comfortable to hold because it's a good size for sort of adult hands. You can really sort of play around on that for hours, which I've done. And you can also use this as a proper standalone console because it's got a whole controller here. It's also got another control slot here, and you can output everything to your TV. So you can actually use this as a standalone console without any problem at all. So that's what makes this, I mean, if you've got the money to spend, then skip the other two that I've just put in 4th and 3rd place, and go for this because it's an absolute brilliant bit of kit to own for Sega consoles, and it plays pretty much everything. So definitely look out for this, guys. The Sega Nomad, my selection number 2. And my number 1 selection is downloads for Apple and other Android phones. This is my number 1 selection if you want to play games, retro games on the go. Basically because you've got it in the palm of your hand whenever you want to play. You can play this when you're out and about or just around the house. It's got great sound, and the screen obviously is absolutely first class, being an actual phone. Battery life is absolutely brilliant as well. On my phone it is very, very good, especially, and it's quite an old phone, so you can get a lot of gameplay out of this, and obviously, you know, very easy to charge. You can charge it in your car with an iPhone charger, and there's save compatibilities on here. A lot of the units that I've just shown you don't have a save sort of capacity. If the cartridge has one, great, but usually the batteries in the cartridges are long since gone, long since died. So that is the pros of these things. The only, sorry, I wasn't even looking now, I was just looking through the camera. The only drawbacks that I can actually think of for these is that there's a relatively small gaming library for sort of Mega Drive titles on the App Stores at the moment. Now, that doesn't mean that that's always going to be the case, but there's nothing better than actually just putting on a classic Mega Drive game. Trying to play this through a camera is very, very difficult as well, so please don't hold my Sonic the Hedgehog 1 ability against me on this alone. yeah, so you've got a relatively small gaming library, so that's one of the major sort of drawbacks to this sort of gaming. But also it can get uncomfortable to hold. As you can see here, you've got the sort of toggles here to move him left and right, and the jumping abilities here. But I mean, it's a great little way to play games, classic retro games, whenever you want. And you know, they're pretty cheap as well. I think this one here was like 69 pence a couple of Christmases ago, and you really can't beat gaming for that sort of price, especially sort of nostalgic titles like you know, Sonic the Hedgehog 1 here. Even though I played it really poorly there, but I was effectively playing it one-handed there, trying to toggle through the camera settings at the same time. So it's an absolute classic. And other titles you can get that I've already got on my phone are Sonic 2, Sonic CD, Streets of Rage 2, Streets of Rage. You can get Golden Axe. So that, you know, all the classics are there. And it's an absolute must if you've got an iPhone or Android. You know, you've already got this stuff, so why pay for a sort of Nomad or those at-games little handheld accessories that I've just showed you, when you can actually just download these on all your phones, Android or iPhone. The quality is very, very good on all of them. So this is my #1 selection, guys. This is my own list, really. This is the title I play on, well, the actual platform I play on the most for handheld gaming. I do have the classic things, but like I said, being older consoles like the Nomad, they can go wrong, and then you've pretty much just got a bit of kit that you can't use, and it's just going to sit there like a dinosaur forever, and you won't get anything for it if you ever try to sell it on. So this is my #1, definitely, guys. If you're looking to get handheld, then yeah, by all means, don't spend an absolute fortune if you're not into sort of, you know, gaming massively, but you just want to play the classics. This is the way to go, definitely. iPhone or Android gaming. The catalogue and the library is only going to get better, hopefully. Fingers crossed over the coming years, with more titles added to it, and we'll just go from there, I guess. So then, guys, that's my video for the Mega Drive Arcade Ultimate Portable Handheld System. Brilliant little console. I hope you've enjoyed this video, sort of just going through some of the pros and cons of the unit, and I hope you've sort of gotten an idea of what it's all about. And if it's something you'd be interested in getting, by all means definitely seek one out, because they're not mega expensive, but they're good little bits of kit to have in your retro gaming collection, to sort of just grab and play on the bus or something like that, or on a lunch break. And but my top 4 there is my own. We're all entitled to our own sort of opinions on it. I know they're sort of emulated files really on phones, but in basically my world, I play on my phone an awful lot, and this isn't necessarily the first thing I'll go for, but it's a great little piece of kit to own if you fancy playing some of the other games that you can't actually download on Android or iPhones. So by all means, guys, check these little units out. They're very, very good, really robust. I've looked at a few videos and done quite a lot of research for this video, so I haven't really seen a bad review of these. Now, there are about 5 or 6 different versions of this out. They basically have different coloured sort of controlled areas, so like there's a red version, there's a green version, I think there's a yellow one as well, and they're all much the same, but some of them have different games or more games. There is a unit out that has about 80 games on it, so check out segaretro.org, and there's a lot of information on there that you guys can learn about this, much more than my video will be able to tell you. But this is just an idea, you know, taking it out of the box, having a quick go on it and showing you what it's all about. So hope you've enjoyed it, guys, and I'll be back with another video soon. Please feel free to comment, rate and subscribe, and I'll see you all again in my next video. Thanks for watching. Bye.